Thank you for subscribing to my podcast, The Steven Sulley Study. Now, you probably got three questions. Number one, what the hell is it all about? Number two, why the hell would you subscribe to me out of all these podcasts? And number three, who the hell am I? Well, my name is Steven Sulley. I'm 32 years of age. I have been, and still am, part of companies which have been turning over 5 million upwards every single year. I've also made some real bad fuck-ups in business. Currently, right now, I have a few businesses I'm a part of. The newest venture is in the property space. I'm a HMO business investor. And that business is going from strength to strength. We're getting investors involved. We're doing joint venture deals. Behind me is a map of my gold mine area in Medway, Chatham, Gillingham, Strood and Rochester. These are the areas I'm homing in on. We're looking to do high level rooms where we're going to be putting loads of professional people in these rooms. Like I mentioned, we're putting en suites. We're making the product very a high standard. So this business, what I'm trying to say, is going from strength to strength, and I'm very excited by it. However, I've got other businesses which in the last couple of months have contracted, and it's made me feel very uncomfortable with that. So I thought this was the perfect time to start my podcast, because I feel that a lot of people would want to talk on social media, on podcasts, YouTube, when things are going great. Well, do you know what? I like to talk about things when they're not going so great and how to deal with them. I really value three major things in my life. Number one, the mind. That consists of business, investing, your outlook on life itself, and anything which is important to you, how optimistic you are even in turbulent times, and that's why it's relevant to me right now. Education, I'm a big believer that you need to continue learning week in, week out, day in, day out. Education is not just about school, university. It's more about your personal development, so picking up books, listening to other podcasts, being around the right kind of people. The other area I really value is training, so my body. I've competed, I've had 14 fights, boxing fights, and I honestly see a synergy between boxing and business, investing, and also sales. I think there's some very similar mindset traits that you need to have in boxing, and certainly when you're selling or communicating or influencing people in the right way. Like I mentioned, I train a lot, go through boxing camps, I spar, even sparred this morning with a chap for 6 rounds, which was pretty tough. I go through circuits. You know, I really like to train at least 5 times a week. I think that's my sweet spot. I think it's something that gives me a great foundation to my life and also business. And the last one, which I've taken a real keen interest in the last probably year up to 18 months, even more so than I used to, is nutrition. So feeding your soul. Looking at what certain foods do to you, how they benefit you, and picking up books like Headstrong, which is written by a guy called David Asprey. It's one of the best books I've ever picked up and read. I've learned a lot from that. So it's something I'm continually learning about year in, year out, basically. So my podcast is basically my take on success. Everyone has a different view of what success is. I believe that in life, you can be what I talk about quite a lot with my sales guys, is being congruent. So not just being a winner in when you're selling, but also being a winner in your family life, making sure you're looking after your family, making sure you're looking after your friends as well, but also being a winner in the gym, the way you train, the way you even eat, in your nutrition, your investments, business, your goals, everything has to come down to a winner's mindset and being congruent. There's no point of making a lot of money, for example, and neglecting your family or neglecting other parts of your life. And on the flip side, there's no point of having a great family life if you've got no money and you're becoming very uncomfortable. So I do honestly believe it's an ever evolving journey that we go through, and I think there's no such thing as being perfect, but I believe that every single person on the face of the planet can pursue perfection every single day. So my podcast is basically my views on success, my views on what books and podcasts that you should be listening to improve your skills, your mindset. Body is, I like to talk about boxing a lot. I like to talk about training. I like to talk about weight training to get the most amount of power and strength, which is transferable to other sports as well. Obviously football, which I played for a few teams when I was younger. Rugby, I used to play hockey for my school. So I believe that when you're strong, when you're fit, when you're powerful, it just makes you feel good and your mindset changes completely. And when you walk in to work or into your business or even into some important meetings, it really lifts you up. So I like to talk about that, and also something that I'm not an expert on, but something I'm beginning to get my head around a little bit more is the nutrition side of things, because I think it's a great foundation, again, to a lot of things. I believe that when you eat junk food, it influences your mind and your brain, and you become very, very emotional about certain things because your body's inflamed, and you're going to start making the wrong decisions based upon some of the foods that you're eating. But if you're eating superfood, for example, which is basically has a frequency which is in tune with your own bodies, then you feel good, and it makes you a lot more positive. You can make good decisions in a rational way rather than becoming all emotional and just flaring up. I honestly do believe nutrition, good foods, and what you put in your body influences you. And it also keeps, it's not guaranteed, but it keeps a lot of the big diseases at bay. Obviously, we know that heart disease, cancers, these are the things that really hit people later on in life. And I believe the best cure to it is prevention. So I like to talk about these three main areas in my podcast. So as I mentioned, I've got a few businesses, and I think at the very, very core of all these businesses that I'm affiliated with is the art of selling and persuading and communicating. I believe that even if you had the best product in the world, even if it was the best thing since sliced bread, so to speak, it's irrelevant unless you can sell. So I believe that to become a good salesperson, you need to understand your reasons why. I know a lot of people talk about the whys and your goals and your vision, all that kind of stuff, which sounds a bit cliche, but why would you want to become an effective communicator? Well, again, being a good salesperson, an effective communicator, is transferable. You can put it into your own business. You can do it day to day, even in a very, very basic way. Also with your family, children. At the end of the day, the way they're going to grow up is because of the influences that they absorb, and then they're also their beliefs and their mindset. So the way you can kind of mold that is by learning how to sell and influencing them in the right way to do things which are really good for them. It's just about becoming an effective communicator. But also sales is a blessing if you can learn it face to face or even over the telephone. You can make a shit ton of money. I know a lot of people have made in a month 50, 100,000, even over £200,000 within a month because they've become an effective communicator. So you've got to have belief in your own product. You've got to have belief in your own company. You've got to have belief in your own self. And I think the way that happens is, again, going back to the very, very start, is about educating yourself, picking up books in these areas. It's about being around people that have already done it before. So getting really good mentors, people that can influence you in a really, really good way. Going on to different podcasts, learning a little bit about it, going to seminars, getting around a mastermind group, having a really, really strong peer group around you. And all these kind of areas will rub off on you, and you'll be able to become an effective communicator over time. Now, I've seen some people which are kind of like a natural gift of the gab, so to speak, and they are effective communicators without even realizing it. But most people like myself, we're manufactured on earth rather than made in heaven. And what I'm trying to say there is, I have to work at it. I wasn't a an effective communicator for many years. I had to learn learn the craft of it. I'm still learning every single day now. But once you find a rhythm and once you find your feet in sales, it's not just about the amount of money that you can make right now, but like I mentioned, it's a transferable skill that you can put into everything else. I mean, even when I go into property deals now, I can't tell you how helpful the art of closing and persuading has been in these scenarios. It really has helped me massively. I've also got another company that I'm a part of, which is in the wellness space, because wellness for me is so important. It's a company called Mimboso, which stands for Mind, Body and Soul. Mind being, again, the business, mindset, outlook on life. Body's training, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a regular person, just trying to get fit and strong. And soul, our spin-off and soul, is nutrition. And we're going for the second round of investment. And, you know, it's very much about closing people on your vision of what the company's going to do. It's also of closing them on the product, closing them on certain aspects of what this company will do and why it's a little bit different and why it's going to solve so many problems for people around the world. And you've got to get people to buy into that, and also you, before they put the money in. So again, I can't emphasize enough that every single person, in my opinion, should learn even the basics when it comes down to selling, closing, and the art of persuading. I honestly do believe in schools, they should be teaching a little bit more about becoming an effective communicator, building up your confidence, being able to do public speaking, maybe even learning how to use social media in a positive and in an effective way. These are, I know I'm going around the houses here a little bit, but these are the areas that I really, really do value in my life, and I do think it's really, really important. So yeah, thank you for subscribing to me. Steven Sulley Study. I'm still fairly young, so I don't have, 50 years of experience running a multi-billion-dollar organization and all the ups and downs that come with that. But 32 years of age, I've achieved certain good things. Bought a few properties, been a part of some really, really good companies in different areas such as fashion, tech industry, in the wellness space, obviously sales, an art company, property. I've travelled quite a lot. Like I said, I've made some major fuck ups, which I'd like to share with you on some other episodes. I've done boxing. I've competed at pretty good level. I've had 10 amateur fights and also what they call 4 unlicensed. I used to fight for a league called the Queensberry League, which a guy called Ross Minter runs and heads up. His dad was Alan Minter, who used to be the world champion. So I've competed there. I've learned a lot with boxing, not just physically, but also the mindset that you have to have in order to become a champion or even compete at a high level. I used to play squash. I used to be Kent champion. I used to play for southeast of England. I also went over to Holland once to play for a tournament, so I represented the country. I played hockey for my school, rugby. So basically, I like to compete. I used to be a plumber, which I will share with you in another episode. I started an apprenticeship. I never wanted to do it, but what I want to share with you in one of the episodes is if you don't have your own plan, you become someone else's. And I very much become part of a plan that wasn't my own. It was actually my mum and dad's. Now looking back, it served me actually quite well, but I'll get into another time a little bit about what happened there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed my podcast. I'm really looking forward to delivering some good value. Hopefully some lessons that you can learn from and avoid, or maybe take and make even better. They say to become a very successful person in any field, you need to take an idea, an already successful idea, and just make it 10% better. So there are certain things I've done well, certain things I've not done so well, and I want to share all of them with you. So thank you very much for subscribing. My catchphrase is be happy but never content. I feel that happiness is a bit of a mindset. Of course, there's going to be days where you're going to feel a little bit fearful, a little bit sad, a little bit down, which is completely normal. As long as you don't live there, that's completely fine. But I think ultimately, Your vision is you're happy because you know where you're going, but never content. So what that means is whether you make £1 million, whether you make £10 million, £100 million, or £1 billion, whether you become very, very strong, whether you competed at the highest level, whether you become top of your game or whatever it may be, never be content with it. And the reason being is because I feel that when you become content or you retire from that particular area, problems happen. I feel that the true definition of being a success is pursuing lifelong goals and of ever evolving and just adapting and becoming the best version of you. So being happy is number one, but number two, never be content. Keep on pushing on. So thank you for subscribing. I can't wait to do more of these. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much.